Welcome to another episode of FESS. On today's episode, I am joined by Mr. Bankie Johnson from Hut Inc. Media, an advertising and marketing company. But first, let's take a look at health and fashion.
Dieting and striving for fashion skinny. Seriously restricting your food intake for the sake of looking fashion skinny can actually cause your metabolism to slow down and your body to store more fat. While young adults who don't eat regularly may see an initial decrease in body size, by the time they hit 30 years old, their metabolism will be so slow that even looking at food that wrong way can cause weight gain. Along with a slowdown of metabolism, people who don't eat end up snacking, often taking in excess sugar, which is vile for the body and causes bloating and swelling.
Skinny jeans. If you feel constricted when you sit down, those jeans are too tight. Tight skinny jeans can place unwanted pressure on the vital span nerves. Try to purchase mid-rise, slightly stretchy pants that don't place too much pressure on the abdomen. Also, try to choose pants made mostly from breathable materials like cotton or linen to avoid yields and fungal infections. Are you a holiday maker? Going to the Gambia?
Yes.
We at Smart Spaces can get you fully furnished studio flats, apartments, houses and bungalows as you may desire. To top it all, we can arrange a rental car for you. Your perfect Gambian holiday is just a phone call away or a simple click.
Smart Spaces. Smarter choices.
Welcome back from Health and Fashion. Now, joining me now, like I said earlier, is Mr. Bankie Johnson from Hut Inc. Media. Welcome to my show, Bankie Johnson.
Thank you for having me.
Now, how long have you been in the advertising and marketing business?
We started with basically graphic design and things like that. So I'll say I really got into marketing and advertising when I actually got our first client in 2010.
Who was your first client?
Which was our first marketing client that basically wanted us to handle budgets and everything else, and that was MoneyGram. And because I had a little background in marketing, I will say that's when we officially became a marketing and advertising company.
I think MoneyGram is actually one of your biggest clients currently, right?
Right now, they are the biggest, yes.
Now, tell me this. What are your thoughts on the shift from traditional media advertising to digital and social media, and how are your clients responding to it?
Well, I mean, that was definitely going to happen at some point. If you look at it, advertising has always it always evolved. From print back in the day to digital, TV, radio. I mean, it always evolved into something else, no matter what the new media was. And that's exactly what advertising did in our time. Now it's mostly with social media. A lot of companies in the world advertise on Twitter more than they do with, even with TV. So that transition has basically made it more exciting. It also made it accessible to potential customers, clients of the said companies that actually use those actual platforms to advertise and market their goods. So I think it's a good thing and it's very exciting. I really enjoy social media promotions more than anything else.
But how are the clients responding to it? Because I know we have a lot of old heads, so to speak, and they're the leaders of a lot of companies. And to them, they're so familiar and used to traditional media advertising that it looks like it's going to be a hard transition for them.
You're talking about here in the Gambia?
In the Gambia,
of course.
Yes.
Well, it's something that you can do without. Nowadays, if you're given an advertising package, trust me, social media will be in there whether you like it or not. And it's basically something that forced you to get into it. People used to work on SMS, which was emerged. Like if you think about SMS and text messaging, these were pretty new a few years ago. Now, if you talk about it, people are like, I'm better off advertising on Facebook because I can actually target my audience. So these, the people that you call the old heads that are stuck in their ways or whatnot, basically have to succumb and move along with the times for them to do what they're doing. For example, let's use Global Properties, which is one of our clients, for example. They use social media a lot, especially when it comes to their promos and showing up new openings and so on and so forth. And it also it provided a lot of drive towards their websites, globalproperties.gm.sn and everything else. And all those things are traffic that they got through social media. So people are embracing it, no matter what you think, even though the access for Gambians is not as big as, let's say, cell phones are.
So do you think accessibility is the reason why a lot of companies do not put it as one of their prime?
For Gambian clients and Gambian customers, to reach out to Gambian customers, I don't think people have seen the benefit of just social media alone. Why? Because like I said, the accessibility is not as big as, let's say, cell phones is, which is like 97%. You're talking about internet accessibility in this country around 3% to 5%.
Okay, let's go back to your company, Hot Ink Media. I know you're the founder or co-founder with your partner, Mo Black, as Mohammed.
Well, Hot Ink Media happened by accident, actually. The
by
name
accident?
It happened by accident.
Because I wondered, how did you come up with Hot Ink Media? At first, I was trying to be smart and think, wait, hot ink means, printing ink is probably going to be hot.
Right, exactly. That was the idea.
Okay.
I was bidding for a printing job.
Uh-huh.
That's how the story came up. I was bidding for a printing job, and I had another company that was also bidding. And I was like, well, I can't bid under my name, so let's come up with something. And I just thought about it on the spot, and I said, Hot Ink Media, sounds good. And everybody said yes. I'm like, good, Hot Ink Media.
It is brilliant.
And that's how it started.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't designed for it to be my advertising company name, but it's something that stuck. And after registering it and everything else, I just decided to go with it.
Okay. Now, you, another partner of the company happens to be your wife, that's Mrs. Lena Gray Johnson.
Yes, Lena came on board in late 2010. I started Hot Ink Media in 2009. She came in 2010, coming back, and she wanted to really focus on building up her photography, as you know, Lenanyan Photography, which she's setting up a website now, lenanyanphotography.com, which is coming up, I think, sometime by the end of August. But she came in down the line and joined the team already, which was me and Mo Black initially. And mostly what we were working on were TV ads. And then our client was QCell. So a lot of stuff that was coming out through QCell was done by us. So she showed up later on. And of course, it's now a family company, you can say that.
Now, you seem to have a lot of big companies as your clients, but what would you say has been your biggest advertising or campaign sales so far?
As far as excitement, would you say? We were pretty, this was something that I did together with Studio 361. When I first came, that was the first company I worked with. Shouts out to Lemon Marina. For Studio 361. So, and our first ever job, our first campaign was the branding of QCell. This is when QCell became the first Gambian-owned cell phone company after Gamcell and Africell and Comium. And it was very exciting because they gave us a free range to come up with something creative and a new message and something great. And it was fun coming up with that because we did everything from the radio ads to the scripting. So you
rebranded them entirely?
We branded them.
You branded them?
We branded them. From the logo to Sunyubus itself, to the first TV ads that came out, to the radio, to the billboards, the whole night, everything else. So that was pretty exciting for us to really try what we really wanted to do. And on something new and something so innovative and something that was the pride of a nation at that time.
That is quite bold, I might say. Now, what do you think people in your industries tend to fail on? Because I know a lot of people tend to overpromise. Like, do you think any other reason why they fail or they happen to have a lot of setbacks?
People in the
industry.
In the industry, what industry? The advertising industry?
Advertising.
To be dead honest with you, there's not that many companies that actually do advertising in Gambia, if you think about it. You can count them off the palm of your hands. I know of Studio 361 when I came through. There was things like the War Room. I'm not sure if they're still around.
No, they're not actually.
There's also, if you really put them all together, you're talking about 5. And of course, Paradise FM and, MediaMatic become, which is another powerhouse that actually was doing this advertising thing through Comium and, all these major companies. And they're still around here. So if you look at it, it's very few of us. There's other companies that claim they do advertising, but it's not really advertising that they do. It's really a service, they provide services, for example, printing or graphic design and so on and so forth. And I was one of those companies really before we became a real advertising company. So to say, I mean, I've seen people come up and leave, and sometimes it's frustrating. I mean, our business, I mean, you've worked with us before. It's not really the easiest business to sell ideas with.
Now, this brings me to my next question. With there not being a lot of media houses in the Gambia, do you feel like freelancers are a problem for you?
I wouldn't say they are, because what we do, we look out for clients.
Okay.
We don't wake up every day and say, you know what, I'm looking for a customer to get this job from. I mean, that's great. If you show up as a customer or whatever, that's fine.
But then
what
again,
we do
sorry to cut you, but some companies would rather, let's say Amadou can probably do the same graphic design that you're doing for less cheaper, because he doesn't have a big logo or a big name to go with it. He's just doing it as it is for a paycheck.
Right. That's never been the market we were looking for.
Okay.
We've never looked for the once in a while customer.
Okay.
We always went in for client basis. That's why we always targeted 3 clients per year. Every time, I mean, our company is quite small. If you look at it at most, it's normally the 4 or 5 of us, tops, that get the job done. At worst, it's 2 or 3 of us. So we don't really have that capacity to handle, things or more than 3 clients or 5 clients per year. Because, I mean, that's an obligation. If a client comes to you and says, I want you to manage my brand for the year, that's a big obligation. You are actually responsible for that client's brand. So what we do is target clients that basically want to do a whole 9. It's not just I want you to do me a flyer or a billboard or things like that, which we welcome, by the way. We don't say no to any job, but those are not actually things that we go out and seek. We'd rather get a serious company that says, you know what, my budget for this year is so and so. This is what I want to do. Put together a marketing plan for me or advertising plan for me, and then take on the creatives to go ahead with it. Then we deliver. And then from there, recorded, we can show a progress report or monthly report or whatnot. And that's really who we look for. And that's not easy. It's not easy to lose a client like that, especially when they're happy with you. And it's very hard for a freelancer to show up and like, okay, you've been doing this with this guy for 3 years. It's been working very well, but I could do it for much cheaper.
Right.
It's not really a good sell. So I'm not too worried about things like that at all.
Right. So
even though I'm all for freelancers, I think they're great.
Oh, they're great, right?
They're great.
Even though they're taking money of your pocket somehow. But
Not
as
really.
you're saying, since you're targeting bigger
Yeah.
companies and doing an entire brand, then
It's big, small, it doesn't matter, anyone. But we go for somebody that really believes in, their brand. And that's what we focus on, brand management and making sure that your brand doesn't get tampered with and is taken seriously at all times.
Now, since starting Hot Ink Media, what has been your biggest setback?
Well, to be honest with you, like finding people is one thing, like people to work with. That's one thing, especially on the creative side. I know there's graphic designers in Gambia, which are very, very, very few. There's a lot of desktop publishers, and desktop publishers in Gambia think they're graphic designers. When I say desktop publishers, these are people that basically take a page and they crop this picture from this and drop and paste.
There's a template over there and
copy paste the boom, and they're like, look, I'm a graphic designer. That's not really what a graphic designer is. Getting human resources is actually a challenge. A setback, a real setback. I remember we had a big problem back like last year, the first quarter, where we had our first major loss. We pre-financed the job.
Whoa.
And the thing came back and was horrible. I couldn't even deliver it. So we had to write off over $30,000 loss of the first quarter alone. And of course, because that happened and you had to pre-finance other companies, other clients, we found ourselves going backwards the whole of 2014 till the bleed started to stop at the end. So these are little setbacks that you find because as a marketing company, you do take risks sometimes. There are companies that you work with that will be like, okay, great, you've been working with us for 2 years. We have this campaign going on. It's $20,000 start. You can't call back like, hey, and you just got to start and you got to find ways to get that money. Now, a company like us that's quite small, we're not really huge. We know MediaMatic or, so we don't have that kind of money that always sits around. So those things are challenges that we face. And sometimes, the banks don't work with you because we're that small. and they just don't trust that you'll pay back. So we never really got any help from any bank actually since we started. And I think that was a great success.
That's
but
quite
it's also
admirable actually, because it's not always easy to start off a business off your pocket.
Not at all, yeah, and that's exactly we started. We never got a loan from anything. I mean, apart from family and friends helping us out. I'm very happy to say that, yeah, we've definitely held it together by ourselves for this long.
Now, you've actually been recognized as one of the top performers in your career consistently, as a matter of fact. What would you say is your personal key to success?
Man, I don't even consider myself successful yet. I'm not even close.
Oh, the ambitions
Not
are
at
like
all.
flying
Nah,
high.
not really. If you look at it, like we all had a dream when we came up to create this, and if you look at, I mean, we all big dreamers. You know, we naturally dreamers. If you're creative, you're a dreamer. And where we dreamt of being, and where we are right now are two different stories. And there's a lot of things that have to do with that too. The development of a good human resource base has something to do with it. The ability to find a client that wants to expand more, and people that want to fund their marketing some more, which is very rare in this country. Marketing is the first thing that ever gets cut when there's a problem, whether it's economical or not.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
So if people are considering me successful, I'll be like, I mean, yeah, great, I'm honored, but I don't even think I'm
Are you
close.
just trying to be humble right
No,
now?
I'm being real. I'm really not close. Like the people that I look up to are people like Haruna Drame and you know, people like Lami Manga that created multiple powerhouses and actually grew through the ages and created other entrepreneurs. I mean, they provided the platform for you to have your show. Mm-hmm. And you know, people like Tiju Brain that got put on through that.
I agree, yeah.
So to me, that's the ultimate level of success, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, because that's what you want to create as an entrepreneur. You actually create an environment where people actually benefit off of what you worked on, and that creates a strong foundation, strong pillars, and that helps you with your growth levels so that you can grow even bigger than what you anticipated at. I'm not even close to that yet.
Thank you very much for joining me, Bankie.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Sidati Fall, commonly known as Pakutil. The versatile Senegalese rapper, aged 35, who lived in Yombol with his family, died last week Saturday, the 11th of July. The rapper who rose to stardom in the early millennium, who was so humble that he chose the name Pakutil as his artist name, meaning cheap junk in French. Fame and money never get to his head, and he prefers the simple mode of dressing, all through his very successful career in music.
Joseph Dave Gomez, the first Gambian to play for Liverpool. Born in May 23, 1997, from a Gambian father to an English mother. Joseph Dave Gomez graduated through the academy nearby Carlton Athletic, making his way in the team's under-18 side at just 13 years old. His senior debut came in a 4-0 League Cup victory over Colchester United at the Valley on the 12th August 2014. Playing the full 90 minutes as the right back. He began his career at Carlton Athletic before he was sold to Liverpool for a fee of £3.5 million in June 2015. Gomez has represented England up to under-17 level and played every minute of every game when England won the 2014 UEFA European League Under-17 Championship. That's all we got for you on Lubes this week. See you next week. I am Mariam Jara.
Thank you for joining us on FESS. Now, stay tuned for next week's episode coming on next weekend. You know, same place, same time. See you soon.